They supported the BLM riots of 2020. Almost every member of the January 6th committee did. A lot of them supported the riots in Los Angeles in 1992. Now they're telling you they oppose riots. But we have the evidence. They've gone on the record supporting political violence when it suits them. So, for example, in 1992, Jamie Raskin of Maryland, now a member of the January 6th committee, was an assistant professor at American University, Washington College of Law. He said he hoped there wouldn't be a, quote, backlash to the race riots in Los Angeles in 1992. Now, 63 people were murdered, heavily for their skin color, by the way. There were thousands of injuries. There was $1 billion in property damage. Reginald Denny was ripped out of his truck and beaten nearly to death on camera. But Jamie Raskin wasn't bothered by any of this at all. What he was worried about was the rioters.
People sense that justice was not done in the verdict that came down in the state criminal court. I would just hope that President Bush doesn't anticipate or encourage a backlash against the rioting which followed the verdict.
Yeah, Reginald Denny. What did Reginald Denny do wrong? He was hauling a load of cinder blocks to the wrong neighborhood, and he had the wrong skin color, so they beat him, almost gave him brain damage. But that's cool. That same year, the chairman of the January 6th committee today, that would be Benny Thompson, decided he couldn't condemn rioting. Instead, he said he was worried about injustices against black officials in Los Angeles at the time. Well, the injustice was happening on the streets of LA as the city was torched and race riots were in progress, but he couldn't denounce it. Matt Schlapp is the chairman of CPAC. He joins us tonight. Matt, thanks so much for coming on. So it's a little much for precisely the same people who have no problem with real political violence, grandstanding and hyperventilating about what happened on January 6th. Why does no one point this out?
Yeah, and why does it have to be shown on your show? I mean, the public records of these elected officials is there for the entire media to see. The hypocrisy of all the times they've taken to the floor and taken to media to say that people like Donald Trump were not legitimately elected presidents, all the times they have not condemned violence, or in this case, you have the chairman of the committee and this other member from Maryland basically saying, oh, riots are fine if you have a social grievance. Now, why is it okay for Jamie Raskin to go to the floor of the House of Representatives in 2016 and say that Donald Trump was not legitimately elected, that this chairman, Benny Thompson, can say that Donald Trump is illegitimate and boycott his inauguration, but when a retired teacher or a mom or a dad or somebody wants to go to their capital and protest what they saw as an election rife with lots of questions and fraudulent voting, somehow there's something untoward with their desire to speak up. Why can't they also speak up? And why did Benny Thompson say that Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz should be on the no-fly list for raising legitimate questions about the 2020 election? This two-tiered justice system, this two-tiered idea that if you're a conservative or you're a Republican or you're a Trump supporter, you get through this kind of ghetto justice. And if you are somebody else who has these progressive views, it's fine. It's just a grievance.
But it's not.
And you have a right to express it.
Most Americans don't have the time to kind of follow this. They sense something's really amiss. That's why they vote for members of the United States Senate to represent their views, their interests, to keep them safe from the overreach of lunatics like Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney. So where is Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham? Shoot more Trump voters. Like, what? Don't normal people deserve representation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of the questions on all of this, which is if you want to ask real questions about 1-6, why don't we ask them? Why don't we find out the reason why the Capitol Police Force, we just found out through our FOIA this week because of Tom Fitton at Judicial Watch, that the Capitol Police going into 1-6 was at 50% strength. How come that was allowed to happen? How come that was okay? We all knew it was going to be a tumultuous, emotional day. These are the questions they don't want to answer. You know why, Tucker? Because when the political violence benefits them, they just turn a blind eye toward it. When real Americans have outrage, they want to put them in jail.
Yeah, I've noticed. Matt Schlapp, thank you.